Rack squints upward at the cascading waterfall, his eyes adjusting to the spray of white mist that dances about him. The roar of the falling water is a constant, like the rhythm of a heartbeat, reminding him of the sea. He leans back against a tree, rod in hand, waiting for the right moment to cast his line. A good spot this, he muses aloud, the sound of his voice almost drowned out by the waterfall. Plenty of deep pools up ahead. Let's see what the gods of fish have in store today. Rack watches as his line arcs through the air, landing with a gentle plop in the churning waters of the river below. The current is strong here, made even more so by the waterfall, but this doesn't deter him. If anything, it only adds to the thrill of the catch. He settles into his stance, feeling the tension in the line, his senses fully alive. He waits, patient and still, for any sign of a fish on the other end. As he waits, eyes fixed on the line floating in the water, Rack thinks back to the strange adventure that led him to this new fishing rod. The fish mistress and her brother in distress. It seems almost like a dream now, but the feel of the fine rod in his hand reminds him that it was all very real. He makes a mental note to thank the fish mistress if their paths ever cross again. For now, though, he focuses on the task at hand, catching fish. Rack grips the new fishing rod, feels the smooth wood and the sturdy line. It's a fine piece of equipment, one that he acquired after aiding the brother of the renowned fisherman, Mistress Eula. With a practiced flick of his wrist, he sends the lure sailing over the waterfall's edge, its arc perfect, and its destination far into the river's depths. This is no ordinary tool, he mutters, a hint of respect in his voice. Let's see what mysteries it unhooks. Rack pulls in another sizable fish, its scales gleaming in the sunlight. Aye, the waterfall's a magnet for fish, that it is, he says, a smile of satisfaction tugging at the corner of his mouth. The force of it carries him like seeds in a gust, and the current keeps him here, swirling in these shallow pools like lost souls. He casts again, the lure disappearing into the rushing water. Let's see what other surprises these rivers hiding. As Rack awaits another bite, he notices the steady stream of players passing by. Their movements are almost ghost-like, flickering in and out as they use the nearby fast travel point. He ticks under his breath. This river's getting more traffic than a merchant's road, he mutters. Gonna have to keep a sharp eye on my line. Last thing I need is to reel in a player instead of a fish. His gaze drifts across the river to the Sinovic farm, now overrun by spectral forms and shadowy creatures. He shudders involuntarily, the sight of it stirring memories of the ghosts he faced in other lands. Spooky place, that one. he mutters, his hand unconsciously tightening on the rod. Best keep clear of it. No fish worth risking a run-in with those phantoms. He casts his line again, the lure disappearing into the water with a satisfying plop. Rack heaves in a small catfish, its slender body wriggling on the line. He raises an eyebrow, regarding the fish curiously. Well, now this is odd, he muses, shaking his head in mild surprise. Catfish round these parts should be hiding in the murky depths, he continues, unhooking the fish and letting it swim free. Seems like they're getting a touch adventurous, or maybe they're just following the lure. Rack's ears perk up at the distant roar, a sound that echoes through the mist like an ominous warning. His grip on the rod tightens reflexively, his senses on high alert. The fishing is forgotten for the moment as he scans the surroundings, seeking the source of the sound in the dark smoke. What in the blazes, he mutters, his gaze darting from the river to the foggy landscape. That's no fish I've heard of. Rack's eyes flicker from the river to the farm across the lake, where a strange, glowing green light hovers above a two-story house. The sight is eerie, setting his instincts on edge. He continues casting his line, trying to remain calm and inconspicuous. Unsettling sight, that one, he murmurs, keeping his voice low and steady. Green light, floating like it's haunting the house. Never seen anything like it. Rack rears in a medium-sized sturgeon, its silvery scales shimmering in the sunlight. He shakes his head in bewilderment. A sturgeon? In these shallow waters? He pauses, his curiosity piqued. No, something's off here. I'm gonna investigate further upstream, find out why these bottom feeders are moving up. With a final glance at the strange phenomena, he begins walking along the riverbank, heading upstream. Rack passes the graveyard, his heart pounding at the harrowing sight. Ghostly forms drift through the mist, their presence a mournful reminder of the lives once lived. By the gods, his voice tinged with fear. Graveyards round these parts are supposed to be quiet, not like this. He quickens his pace, hurrying past the haunting grounds, the chill in the air seeping into his bones. Hope this ain't my future. Rack pushes deeper into Brightwood, the gloom intensifying with every step. The fog thickens, obscuring his vision and heightening his unease. The cheerful sunlight of earlier gives way to an ominous darkness, and the peaceful riverside vanishes into the misty distance. Blast this fog, he mutters, his grip on the rod tightening. Feels like I'm walking into a nightmare. Gotta keep focused, can't let these shadows unnerve me. Rack stands at the top of the waterfall, its spray dampening his clothing and adding to the mist around him. The split in the river forms a Y formation, the waters parting and then merging once more. The sound of rushing water fills his ears, the roar like a powerful chant in the darkness. Eldridge Hollow, he muses, the name echoing in his mind. Seems right, I remember now. This place has an ominous feeling to it. Rack's ears prick at the distant groaning, the sound sending a shiver down his spine. He scans the surrounding woods, straining to see through the misty air. The sound seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, making it difficult to pinpoint the source. What in blazes is making that noise, he mutters, his grip on the rod tight. Sounds like a creature in pain or a soul in torment. Rack casts his line into the water, the quiet of the stream a stark contrast to the unsettling groaning he heard earlier. The river here is tranquil, the waterfall's roar reduced to a gentle rush. Yet the fish are scarce, their presence elusive and fleeting. This place is different, he observes, his voice low. Quiet, almost tranquil. But the fish, they're harder to catch, smaller than before. Rack hauls in a large sunfish, its bright colors a stark contrast to the gloom of the forest. He raises an eyebrow, admiring the odd catch. Well, now, this isn't something you see every day, he muses, unhooking the fish. Ain't often I catch a sunfish like this in these parts. He studies the fish for a moment, its vibrant scales glistening in the dim light. Reckon I'll take it, regardless. A catch is a catch, after all. Rack watches the elk, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. The creature splashes in the shallows with joyous abandon, seemingly oblivious to the spooky atmosphere of the area. Look at that, will ya? He chuckles, shaking his head in bemusement. And here I was thinking this place was all gloom and doom. And there's that critter frolicking about like a fledgling. Rack observes as a fellow player dispatches the elk and begins carving the meat. He can't help but feel a pang of sympathy for the animal, but pushes it aside. That's the way of the world, he mutters to himself. He casts his line into the water again, trying to focus on the task at hand. The fishing is slow here, but he continues to diligently reel in smaller catches. Rack ducks instinctively as a flying arrow whizzes past him, narrowly missing his head. He lets out a sharp exhale, his pulse quickening. By the gods, that was close, he mutters, rubbing the back of his neck. What kind of fool is shooting arrows into the river? Could have brained me with that one. Rack packs up his fishing gear, casting a final wary glance at the darkening woods. The groaning he heard, the ghostly atmosphere, and the near miss with the arrow have made him uneasy. He climbs onto his horse, ready to leave this strange and unsettling place behind. With a gentle nudge, he coaxes the horse toward the nearest waypoint, eager to return to the safety of civilization. Rack watches with widened eyes as a fellow player gallops past, pursued by a swarm of eldritch creatures. The ghouls and spirits follow in hot pursuit. their relentless pursuit painting a grim picture. Blast, good thing I left when I did, he mutters, a shiver running down his spine. Those ghouls would have had me for sure. Can't blame that chap for running like the wind. Rack arrives back at town, the familiar sights and sounds a welcome respite from the eerie woods. He dismounts his horse, still shaken by the events of the day. Well, that was a strange day of fishing, he mutters, rubbing his jaw. First the groans, then the ghosts, and nearly getting shot in the head. Maybe next time I'll stick to the quieter streams.